Alright, what's going on, guys? So today's the day, and this is finally the video where I'm going to start working on the coilovers and the struts. So I've spent a lot of time preparing for this, and I'm going to go ahead and try and explain this the best way I can, and hopefully you guys understand. So these are simtec Racing coilovers. I believe that I'm probably the only person to install these other than the owner. I could be wrong, but if someone else has done it, they haven't posted anything online for any research. So I really have no help or guidance with these coilovers. So it is what it is. So so this tape line right here is where this sleeve spins, and this is as high as it'll come. So if you measure this here, it's about 3 inches that I can lower the car. You want to keep about 3 inches thread inside the sleeve. So right here is right there is 3 inches. You want to keep that much. So I only have about 3 inches to lower the car, which is not very much. I thought it was more, but it's not. So that's what I'm working with. Now the guy recommended to me that whatever my stock suspension is at, look at it, however farther I want to go down, that's how much I cut off of the strut. There's no sleeve mechanisms like the BC Racings or the Techno Toy Tuning. This is straight cut, weld on. So it's a butt weld, if you guys know what that is. So cut it, this butts up to it, and you weld it. And then that's it. There's no sleeves. So if I want to lower the car, so this is, with this being 3 inches in there, that's how much you want to keep it in there. This is like stock height for this coilover. So if I've got it up next to this one, and I go down, and I cut right here, right next on my OEM one, this would be stock height on the car, and then I would have 3 inches to lower the car. So, you know, that's pretty good. However, my car was sitting more than 3 inches above the fenders. I'm going to go ahead and insert some pictures about what I've been looking at and the pictures that I've had and I've been doing research on, and just staring at these pictures trying to figure out how much I should cut. So the back of the car, super tall. There's no weight back there anymore, and it's just super tall. So with only 3 inches to play with on the coilover to lower it, I need to get my measurements right so that I can get low. I'm not trying to go stupid low, but I want to get good fitment with my rims. So after staring at those pictures for forever, I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to drop the front a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to drop the rear 2 inches, because there's like a 5 or 6 inch gap in the rear. So if I drop that 2 inches, and then there's going to be the weight from the fuel cell and battery and things like that in the car and everything else, I'm thinking that that's going to give me maybe a 2-3 inch gap in the rear. So then I'll be able to adjust that out. In the front, there's like a 3 or 4 inch gap, and my new motor is going to be a little bit heavier than the RB, so I'm thinking that I'll be able to adjust that out. So I'm thinking a half inch shorter in the front. So I'll be cutting it. If this is stock is 1.5 inches up, so I'll cut it 1 inch from the bottom. Hopefully that makes sense. I did the best I can explaining it, but these are obviously the rear down here. The light's not very good, but these are the rear. So in the rear, it's at stock height for this coil, where it can't go any higher. it's right here, and that's 5 inches from the bottom of the back. So if I lower it 2, that means I'll cut it 3 inches from the bottom. So that is what I've come up with. Hopefully that makes sense, but I've been talking on quite a while now, so let's go ahead and get to work. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the fronts. I've got my line drawn here, so it is 1 inch from the bottom. Got them both drawn, and now I need to go ahead and take the spring and everything else off. So, all right, and in order to get the spring off, you've got to take out that center bolt there. Now you should compress the spring and maybe cut a coil with the plasma cutter so it doesn't jump off, but I'm just gonna risk it. I don't think it's gonna really jump off, so we'll see. Okay, so this is one of those times where I'm going to say, do as I say, not as I do. You should, before you cut these, remove the shocks out from them. And there's kind of like a bolt here that you would use like a big wrench on. And heat it up, pry it off, pull it out. Basically just pull it out. I'm not even going to try and mess with that because I'm sure it's going to be super hard to get it out and it's not really worth my time. So I'm just going to cut it. Okay, so I just got far enough to where that there's a little bit of oil showing, and it kind of started to smoke a bit. So I'm going to show you what will happen. See, there's a little bit of smoke there. Hopefully this, oh, that's kind of hot. Oh, that's kind of hot too. Alright, got my gloves on, so I'll show you. Let's go out here a little bit. Alright, so I just let most of the oil out of it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue cutting. Alright, so all of this is cut through now. So go ahead and show you what the inside of it looks like. So hopefully it'll fall out. And there's one more ring there. Doesn't matter though, this is top side. I don't need that. And then there's the side I need. Alright, there it is. Alright, so today is day 2, and today is also the total solar eclipse. So I got my glasses on, I can't see a thing out of them, but I didn't really explain where I was cutting and well, what was really going on, because I was kind of in a hurry, I guess. But the struts, they had this kind of collar around them, the spring perch, this collar. So that was making it hard to put in the chop saw. So I needed to get that collar off. Most people just kind of grind it and cut it off, grind the welds down, I guess. But I just elected to just cut it off right above it, or below it, I mean. So then I'm just left with this, just a straight tube. So that's what I did to all of them. They're all cut. Here's the rears. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm left with. And there's my lines to where I'm going to cut them. I'm sure all those measurements you don't really care about at the beginning, but basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting a 1/2 inch lower in the front and 2.5 inches lower in the back, and I will have 3 inches of lowering adjustability, essentially. So that's pretty much what I'm working with. Most coilover kits have a sleeve and they tell you where to cut and you just sleeve it, and it's pretty simple. Well, these are not simple at all. Pretty tough. So yeah, there's all the parts left over. I made a big mess in the garage with oil everywhere, but I cleaned all of it up. So yeah, today I'm pretty much ready to cut on the lines that I need. Okay, wow. I just cut the first strut basically down to my line. I could not get it to fit in the chop saw because of the way the spindle was, and I couldn't get it close enough. There's no way. So I used the hacksaw, and wow, that went so much easier than using the chop saw. I mean, it took less time even, and no sparks, no nothing. So I don't even know why. I don't know why I didn't use that in the first place. But yeah, so I got the first one pretty much cut. There it is there. Since I was using the chop saw, I was kind of worried I wasn't going to cut it straight. I guess that's the good reason for using a chop saw. If you cut it straight down, it'll be a straight cut. But I think I did a pretty good job. I cut a little bit above the line, so then I can sand it off and make sure it's perfect. So yeah, this one's cut. It just needs to be grinded down and basically finished touches, and then it's going to be ready to be welded. But if you look outside, maybe you can't tell on the camera, but it is a little bit darker out. That sun's almost being covered up by the moon. But what time is it? 12:51. So here shortly, it's going to be pitch black. Well, I just got that second one cut, and it's super weird out. I don't know how to explain it. It's like dark, but then there's still the bright light and the sun. I tried putting the glasses up to the GoPro, but still didn't get a good light. So, all right, here it is, 1:18, 1:19 now, and you can see how dark it is. If you guys don't know, I live in Illinois, so basically right in the middle of the country, so keep you guys updated. Alright, so here it is pretty late. I haven't been working all day on these. I had a few errands to run, but here is the basically finished product. Well, basically before it gets welded. So it is cut down, it is flat, and everything else. I literally just spent the last 2 hours grinding on these things because you know, you gotta take your time, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so it takes a long time. And here are the rears. Got those cut, and here are the I don't know, bottoms for the coilovers, sleeves. You can't call them sleeves because they don't slide over anything. And I know I probably look pretty rough right now. I've been working for a while. Arms are dirty, but I would not recommend this coilover kit to anyone. And that's kind of hard for me to say because I spent good money on these, and you know, I want things to be perfect, and I really wouldn't. This coilover kit is a pain. It didn't come with instructions because the owner said that, you know, there's insurance things and everything, and he doesn't, and you should take it to a professional shop. Well, I'm no professional shop, but I mean, it's still not easy to do. And the weld that was on there that is going to be made on these, I'll try and show you. I'll try and show you on one of these. So because this is not any kind of sleeved style, it just sits on there. It just sits on top of it, and you can see the bottom of that metal, bottom of that ring is bigger than the strut assembly. So there's your weld right there, and that one weld is what holds your strut assembly together and your coilovers, and it takes all the bumps and everything else. So that one weld is supposed to hold it together. Now, people have said that one weld is fine as long as you put a really nice weld on there, no issues, and that's what the owner of the kit said. And I don't know. I'm just always for being the most rigid, the strongest, even if I don't need it. And you know, this is your suspension. If something happens and it breaks, you could be doing pretty high speeds and bad things can happen. I don't want bad things to happen. I want it to be as safe as possible and enjoyable. And I don't want to have to worry about my coilovers blown out. So I wanted to do, and the reason why that's not as strong as I think it should be is because the BC Racings, they've got sleeves. The Techno Toy Tuning T3, they've got sleeves that slide over and they weld at the bottom, and that adds more strength because it can't rock back and forth. And if it breaks, you know, I mean, it's not gonna break. It's got the BC Racings and everything else, they weld down here at the bottom around this lip, and it slides over that sleeve, and that's a lot stronger. So you know, that's, I should have known before I bought this kit that's what I was going to be dealing with. I probably should have spent a little extra money and bought the T3 kit, because I can't do this one myself. I am going to take the strut assembly, basically what you see here, this bottom section and this, and I'm going to take it to an actual fabrication shop, and I'm going to have them weld it. And they recommended to me that that one weld will hold, and I'm going to leave it as just one weld from them, and then I'm going to put it on the car. I'm going to get the car, put all the suspension back in the car, and put the motor in, transmission, put the whole car basically back together. And I'm going to set the car down on the suspension, and I'm praying to God that I cut enough off, or I didn't cut too much off. And you know, because I had to estimate, I need 2.5 inches lower in the back and maybe a 1/2 inch lower in the front. I didn't have a cage in there, I didn't have racing seats, didn't have a fuel cell in the back, didn't have a radiator full, didn't have one JZ. It's estimation, because I mean, these coilovers are not meant for somebody who's doing a whole restoration and they don't know, they don't have their car all put together. So with all that being said, if you're in my situation, I would not recommend these, because they're not just a simple cut it, slide it over the slide it down over the sleeve, weld it around. No, it doesn't come with instructions. They don't tell you where to cut. You got to do it on your own. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend these, but you know, hopefully they're as good as he says they are. They're supposed to be better than BC Racing, so I'm hoping. Yeah, so I'm taking these tomorrow. I'm gonna get them welded up, and I'll show you guys after. Okay, so it is the next day. that last clip you saw, that was me pretty upset and frustrated. It was late. I was tired of working on them, and you know, I was just frustrated with these coilovers. They're a lot of work, and you know, I guess when the guy says that they're meant for a professional shop to install them, you know, that's what you should do. I'm obviously not a professional shop, so get them taken to a professional shop. I'm not saying that I wouldn't recommend them, but for someone in my position who didn't have the car fully built, all the weight in the car, everything like that, I didn't know how much to cut off. So if you're in that kind of position, I probably wouldn't recommend them. But if you've got your car all built, weight, everything, and you can see how much you need to lower it with these coilovers, so you know where to cut, yeah, that's no problem really. And I was skeptical on, well, talk about it before you show it close up. I was skeptical on this weld, and I just thought that it needed to be reinforced more. But you know, after talking to the welder, I did get these welded up. After talking to him, he said that this weld's fine. Shouldn't have any problems. It's gonna hold. It doesn't need to be sleeved. It's strong enough. So I'll go with his opinion. So after saying that, you know, they're not. I was pretty upset when I was talking yesterday. So I was thinking about deleting that out. But you know, hey, you guys know what it's like to get frustrated and just want to throw things and get rid of it and wish you bought something different. But you know, overall, it's over with. I'm glad it's done. I know it's going to be good now, and I'm sure I'm going to be happy with it. So I'll go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the welds. Hopefully you guys can see pretty good. These were TIG welded in. All the way around. He was not able to get way back in there. Just couldn't reach it, and he said that it's fine, it'll hold up. And then this here, and there. So yeah, you know, they're all welded in. They're good to go. So you know, yeah, like I said, I was frustrated yesterday, and I'm not saying I wouldn't recommend them, but maybe if you don't have all the weight in your car, like I said, might not be the best option. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get them installed. Alright, so here they are, spray painted. I basically only spray painted around the weld and a little bit of the sleeve, just because I didn't feel like spending a whole bunch of time cleaning this quite yet, because that's going to take a lot of work to clean that up. And I just didn't want the weld to rust or anything, so I just spray painted around that. So kind of a half-assed job, but I'm gonna go back and clean them. I just didn't feel like doing it. But here is the product, final product. The coilover is finally in, and the suspension is ready to be installed. I'm super excited. This is what I worked on all weekend, and you know, not just all weekend, but I mean, I've spent so much work getting these camber plates in there, getting this strut brace in there, fitting everything, and it's finally in. So you know, that's a pretty big milestone to complete, and a lot of stress. You know, I'm sure you guys saw that. Yeah, it's pretty stressful getting that in there. You know, I'm sure you guys have had your stressful moments. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, not too much else. Give you a little close up in here. Got a little bit, I mean, you can see the adjustability there. I can go quite a bit more low. And then the adjustment for the dampening is this little, that little chrome piece down in there. You spin it, and it can adjust how stiff or how soft you want your ride. So that is that. And for those of you that follow my channel and follow my build, if you saw this taped up, you might be wondering what I was doing. Well, I added some more underbody coating in there. I added this product, just some 3M actual underbody coating that is supposed to cut down on road noise and everything else, it goes on there kind of thick, so I shouldn't be hearing every single rock that hits the fenders, because this bed liner, I left it in here because it looks really good. So this stuff, I mean, it looks really good, but for like daily driver and rideability, maybe for a race car, you might want that real thin stuff in there. But I mean, I'm going to be driving this hopefully more than just race car. Not a daily driver, but a little bit more than that, and just for fun, you know. And I don't want to hear every single rock, so I covered this in that. Went on there real thick, did the underbody. So yeah, that's what I did. Just want to let you guys know that, so in case you thought about buying that bed liner, this is what I did on the inner fenders, because it was just too light. Needed something heavier so you don't hear all those rocks and reduce the road noise. So all right, that's going to end it for this one. Stay tuned, because I am going to be putting this all back together. So hopefully the front suspension will be done here shortly, and I'll bring you guys along for the ride. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.